the worker.
I have a Windows desktop here with icons on the desktop. Down here I have a taskbar with items for switching between. And when I click the Start icon there, of course, I get the Start menu. So we showed a Start menu back in Build as it was under development. And the software that you all will get a chance to try out over there has this early build, their PC. At the top are the pinned apps. In the middle is the most used list. Same concept on Windows 7. And then things like the All Apps button are in a place that people would expect, so I can click that and see all my apps. And the little details really matter here as well. Things like jump lists. When I go to File Explorer, it expands in place to show familiar jump lists that Windows 7 users are used to. So the analogy that we've been using internally, and of course, it's really easy to use. If I want to grab an app like Facebook here and drag it over, I can pull it into a space, choose where I want to drop it. In this case, you can see the Start menu is getting a little wider, but we left this little space right there so I could drop an item in. Part of the brand values and things that we want Windows to be about is personalization and making your device really unique, represent your unique personality and needs. So we want people to be able to customize this and make it fit them. I could do things like resize these tiles. I'll make the calendar tile here large size. And then I can take the Start menu and change its size. I can make it short and stout if I would like. Or I can pull it up here and go for the tall look, which during the rehearsal everyone reminded me, for me, going to higher heights is generally something I should try to do. So I'm going to configure my Start menu in the tall mode. And as users start using these apps, they should just feel familiar and work in a natural way that you'd expect with a PC mouse and keyboard. So here I've launched the Mail app. This is a store app that was part of Windows 8. And here it is running on Windows 10. And we recently added the title bar with minimize and close, but in Windows 10 we've gone farther and we've made this work in a window as well. And you can see when I restore this app, it works just like Windows apps that you're familiar with. Doesn't matter whether you're running a classic Win32 app or a store app, the UI works the way you expect. There are some nice things, though, and I'm going to start getting into a little bit of detailed nuance because I want you all to get a sense for the depth at which we've been thinking of this and the kinds of things that we're going to get data on people's use when they eventually start trying these builds. So the first thing I'm going to do, something that many Windows 7 users are familiar with, is just grab the window and pull it over here to the side to snap it. It's handy. It's a nice thing that a lot of people do, but not everyone does. Voila, it just works with a store app. And of course, if I go launch a classic Win32 app, here I have OneNote 2013. I can do the same thing, and you notice it snaps to fill the available space in a nice little polished thing that we've heard Windows 7 users asking for, making it easy to get these two windows laid up in the way I'd like. So down here on the taskbar, you'll notice a new button. This is currently called Task View. And it's a way for novice users to work their way up to more powerful and capable multitasking with all of our new apps. So when I click this Task View button, we jump into our Task View. And you'll see I ran a OneNote app and I ran a Mail app. There they are. Interestingly, the OneNote app also launches a Send to OneNote app. And now it's visible here. And if I want to close it, I can just go there and click Close in the Task View. So the novice can just click the button and have a visual way of seeing all the windows that are open and running on their PC and switch between them. But the second thing we've tried to do is scale them up into really taking advantage of apps from the store of all different types, working in interesting configurations. So down here, we now support multiple desktops. And this whole time I've been working on this desktop, but I've had a couple of other desktops already pre-configured. So over here, as an example, I tiled classic Win32 Excel with a store app for Dynamics. And imagine this scenario, I'm working on expense reports. So I snapped one to the left and I snapped one to the right, and now I'm working in those apps sort of in a task-oriented way. Novices find this discoverable. We've been doing a bunch of user testing on this. We know they find it discoverable. They click the plus button, they create a desktop, they open Windows, and it works in a nice, natural way. We're enhancing their productivity. Here I've got a desktop with and I'm working my way up the advanced user scale. Here I've got a desktop with a bunch of windows, and things are starting to get complicated. And maybe I'm doing a task which is to author a PowerPoint presentation. And to do that, I want to draw stuff from a Word document that somebody wrote, and I'm going to do web research, and I'm going to plug in a USB drive. And so I might want to look at these things together as a task that I switch back to. And we put affordances in the system that work across classic apps and new apps to make that really easy. I can grab my PowerPoint and pull it over here. And in a new feature for Windows 10, which we call Snap Assist, once I've snapped one window, if there's a choice of a bunch of other windows, we present a simple UI where the user just clicks on the one they want. So here I've got PowerPoint, and if I now want to grab stuff from Word, I click Word, voila, the windows are tiled. And of course, I have that multiple desktop thing to keep switching between tasks. Let's say I'm even more advanced, and I've been working in my Word document, now I want to do web research. I can pull this up here in the corner and choose my web browser, and now I've got a snapped web browser in a layout like this. And then last, of course, to sort of complete the story, I can grab my PowerPoint, hit my File Explorer, and now I've got this tiled up. And you may say, this is a rudimentary and basic feature. I agree. We don't think this is world-changing, but it illustrates the point that for Windows, we need to address this breadth of users, from novices working up all the way up to advanced users, and we need to address a breadth of hardware. You'll have a chance to play with these systems over here with very large screens, and you'll see when you get on a high-end PC, this configuration really works. And so having multiple desktops with Windows laid up like this, we think, can make people more productive as just a nice, basic part of our core experience. And of course, it goes without saying that I can use the multiple desktops feature in Task View to switch between those. We've improved Alt-Tab, and Alt-Tab handles the case of multiple desktops nicely. If I Alt-Tab to Excel to do my expense report, I jump over to the desktop and I see those windows in the mode they were in. If I switch over to my file management thing because I want to grab something off a USB stick, I go to the desktop with those windows piled up. It's a nice forward step enhancement to make all those people more productive. Okay. Now I'm going to demo something that I've never demoed before, and it's an unusual thing for me to demo. And I do it only to illustrate the degree to which the enthusiastic designers and engineers in our development team have surprised even us with their embracing of this concept of productivity for the widest scale of Windows users. So I'm going to demo the command prompt. So I'm going to go in here and launch the command prompt. I know some of you are command prompt familiar users, as am I, although not frequently. And there are some things that are pretty annoying about the current Windows command prompt. Like you can't Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste, and the keyboard shortcuts that you have in your muscle memory for selecting text don't really work the way you'd expect. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch back over here to my mail app, where you will maybe have already noticed. I have this mail from Dave Barnett, who's been working with our IT team creating experimental line of business app installer scripts, which I've downloaded, and I haven't got them working right. He wants me to send him a directory listing of what's in this folder. So I'm going to Control-C to select that. I'm going to come back here to the command prompt. I'm going to type CD to change directory, and then Control-V to paste. Hit Enter. I'm going to do a dir. There's my directory listing. That was not so easy with the old command prompt. And now for those of you with keyboard shortcuts in your muscle memory, if you want to select 6 lines of text going up, what button do you hold down? What key? Come on. Shift. Thank you. So I'll hold down the Shift key and up arrow. And if you want to select by word, what key do you additionally press? To select by word. Come on. Control. Thank you. So yes, now I can Control-Shift and go through here, select the stuff in my command prompt, hit Control-C, Alt-Tab, back to my mail, reply, paste, voila, job done. Simple. So here you'll see in this build, when I swipe right, the charms bar is still present. Now I want to tell you, we plan to change this UI. The literal UI, we expect to evolve and not be like this. But I wanted to illustrate that we're committed to supporting these touch scenarios because we have great belief in touch on these devices as making people more productive across the board. So I can still swipe right, choose settings, and configure my Wi-Fi. The way we're going to evolve this touch UI, I expect that charms bar to change. The way we're going to evolve this touch UI is to find UI approaches that use the same mouse and keyboard experience evolving from Windows 7 so that touch users get something that's really natural. And what we've done on the other edge of the screen gives you a sense of what that might be like. I showed you the task view, and in Windows 8, people swipe in from the left with their thumb to get a task switcher to switch between apps, but it's different than the task switchers they use everywhere else. Well, in Windows 10, in this build that you all will get a chance to try out, when you swipe in from the left, we get our task view, which people will discover using the mouse. It'll be familiar. And even here, we try to tailor it for the use of touch. So in the touch case, when I swipe in from the left, the close boxes are shown. So if I want to close that OneNote, I can click close. OneNote goes away. I click touch to clear it up. And now I'm using touch in a way that accelerates my use of the PC. Okay? Now I have one last thing I want to show you. And the last thing that I want to show you is not yet far enough along in our software builds to demo it on a real machine, so I'm going to show you a motion study. And if you think about the whole broad spectrum of what I've tried to characterize as what we're doing here in the core UI, is to solve for a massive scale of users of different capabilities on a really wide range of device hardware. Some of them only have mouse and keyboards with no touch. Some of them have touch. And we definitely see people moving towards touch. And the category of devices that we feel very enthusiastic about, both through our own experience and through working with our hardware partners and talking to our enterprise customers, is the effect that two-in-ones can have for the productivity of people using Windows to get things done. And when we change the UI, if you go back and look at Windows 8, Windows 8's focus on touch, the large start screen, the notion of apps running full as they do on tablet devices, that was trying to salute the idea that people would be productive on these touch devices, but we didn't quite get it right. With Windows 10, we think we have a better approach. So I'm going to show you a design motion study that we're working on. The code's coming along, but it's not ready to try yet. We call this Continuum. And the idea is for two-in-one devices, can we build a UI that smartly changes its mode based on whether you have a keyboard and mouse present or absent to just adjust the UI in a way that'll feel really familiar so a device is great at doing both. So let's run the video and you'll get a sense of what I mean by this. So here we have a device that's convertible, and normally it's used like a laptop. So here I've got a mouse pointer, I'm using the mouse, I click start, I get a start menu, I launch mail, here's a universal Outlook, it runs in a window, just as I've been showing you already. Now when I remove the keyboard and mouse, it prompts, should I enter the tablet mode? And when you say yes, the app is maximized, the taskbar adds a back button for switching, and when you touch start with your finger, it switches itself into the large start mode so that it's really easy for you to pick other apps and navigate around and launch them. So here we launched OneNote. OneNote it knows that it's in the touch mode, so the UI adjusts. I say new page, and I can do something like use the pen to ink right in my OneNote. If I want to switch apps, I can go back to start, or I can use the familiar taskbar that I've known for years, and I have a simple, convenient way to do this. When I bring the keyboard and mouse back, I'm prompted again to exit tablet mode, and when I do, the start menu comes back to its small mode where I last left it, and the apps that I ran are still present on the device in their windowed mode because now I'm using it like a laptop.